We'll just come down to this river below Jalberry. See some houses there. I've swum here in the hot month of around August. It gets very hot, so it's good to have a swim. But this river, you have to be careful, it'll carry you away on the higher flow. But how's the size of that rock, eh? Size as small as a tiny home. Size of a house. And amazed by this this gouging in this really big rock I'm standing on. Imagine the forces that have carved that out, and maybe these ones as well, these smooth curves. So obviously this was been in a position where a lot of water flowed over it, and the gravel and sand has been grinding away at this for a few thousand years. This big rock, lovely big smooth rock. I'm just going to go for a walk along the beginning of a stone stack. People do that, don't they? You've got some rope running across here for some reason. Yeah. Now, one thing about all the rocks in Nepal, not such good examples here of all the kinds of rock, conglomerate, metamorphic and everything. I'm not a geologist, but I do know that the layers are laid down by sediment and then pressed together under terrific pressures. But down at Dholadghat and even Malamshi along the river, you can see the many different kinds of rock, different colours, different layers, and it's nice to see, you know, even a small one like that demonstrates the layers within the rocks. It would be a good spinner on the water. Yeah, so I find it fascinating, all the different textures of the layers, and the grinding and the smoothing of these big rocks is amazing to see. So we've got some big rocks up ahead. Now this one's interesting. It's got a round hole in it, like the anchor in my hometown museum used by the Maori people for their canoes. So something has put that hole in there. Maybe not a Maori canoe up here, it's a bit far away. But enjoying the temperature here. Really enjoying the temperature down here in Jalberry. Yesterday I come down from high up Hapara and Hagam, and I'd spent the night there, and it was cold. But there was some cold weather and rain come across. Another shower overnight here, which has been a blessing, because the Nepali light fires in the dry season to stimulate some grass growth, I believe, but it just contaminates the atmosphere of the whole country. Happens all over Nepal, and I prayed for some rain. And at church this morning I asked if anyone else prayed for rain, so I didn't take all the credit. And yeah, about a dozen people all raised their hands praying for rain. And I don't know whether they're praying because of the environmental smoke and atmosphere, or for their crops. So because of this last few days, a bit of rain here and there, they've started planting their corn, which they wouldn't have done in the dry ground, because, you know, it can not rain since the end of the last raining season, which was October, which is a great time of the year to come here, because of the rains wash away all the dust out of the atmosphere, and then the mountains come into view. Beautiful to see, but now it's kind of cloudy, so not expecting to see the Himalayas. Otherwise, all the way up that valley, there is a peak to be seen. I've seen it at different times looking up the main street of the bazaar. Now, how's this rock, eh? That's big. But this one looks very white and hard and quartzy. Might find some gold. But let's do a selfie by this rock. That's a big one. Yeah. And some other big ones here. So they've obviously been carved. There's a fracture running through, but it's holding together. Obviously been carved out by the action of the river, of small stones and large, rolling down the currents. Now, I met a kayaker who come up this valley to paddle this river, and back in the day I would have had a go when I used to enjoy kayaking New Zealand rivers. Now looking up there, a lot of those trees have been planted, so that's really good to see, the plantings. Here's a dog, stray dog. Now, a sad state of things in Asia is all the plastic. It gets thrown in the rivers. They don't have a proper rubbish collection, and you see it everywhere. And I've been reading on the news that the beaches in Bali are just covered in plastic of all kinds, single use, double use, whatever use. And this time of the year, when the rains have come to Indonesia, the rivers all wash out the plastic that's been dumped from every village and city into the sea, and certain currents wash it up on the tourist beaches of Bali. How's that? And I was just reading about Vietnam, these pristine lakes that the tourists have loved. They've gone there and there's hundreds of meters of floating rubbish. Now, I've talked to some of the locals. I've said it would be better to bury the plastic in a big hole rather than have it go down the riverbanks into the water, washing all the way down, joining big rivers, Sankosi, down to Nepal, down the south of Nepal into the India, and washing out, turns left, goes to Bangladesh and out to sea. It's really sad to see, but you know, this country is a beautiful country. We don't want to see it spoiled. So I've got some amazing shapes carved out on this rock as well. So obviously there's some great forces. You know, Nepal has one of the highest rainfalls in the world, but most of it happens up top. It's got a couple eyes on there and the big rock behind. So they get those big ones that have come down are slowly covered in a black algae because they've sat there for a long time. Anyway, it's lovely and fresh down by the river. Sindapol Chok, Jalbari Bazaar, Nepal. So I've just come down the river a little bit from those big rocks, and I'd see a digger has been down here. I've got to get back up there somewhere. But there's a couple of piles of split stone here. So this may be used in the gabion baskets for some shoring up of riverbanks or road edges. We've even got a number on that one, like the number you can see on that rock on the surface of the moon. But apparently there's a big project starting, and to explain, get my footing here, they're going to basically blast a hole through that corner of the river and have a tunnel for water for a hydro project to send the water down through a tunnel to a generator. So this has happened a lot in Nepal. They don't build massive big dams. Well, they do have big earthquakes here. And so that's starting. They've already carved this road down into the river. And so probably bring the machines down here for some reason. There's a new road. There's the old road where you can see a car going to go down to the main highway. Here's a bit of a flying fox cable across the river. So that's going to happen. And it's a highly unusual rock carved out. Many different rocks here, different layers. I'm just coming up through these rocks here. A little bit of aware of python snakes down by the river here. I've already had a close encounter with one of those. Now this here could be a trig for surveying. They might have had a tripod up here for the project, because they probably don't expect this big rock to move anytime soon. So here's a new road they've carved for machines and things. More broken rock here. If anyone would like some for a rockery, just place your orders in the comment section. I'll put a couple in my bag. So you can see the river level here, but as you look up the bank, you'll see obvious river boulders, like that one that's been carved in those same curves. So obviously this river has dropped a lot over time, as happens with the action of the water. So here we are up the bank, and there's a big machine parked here, and I think someone's had to give up their paddy fields while this project's going on. I hope they're paying them some good rent, because they won't be planting anything in here with this big Komatsu and Hitachi the other day. So there's a goat shelter there. There's a couple of goats looking at me. And unusual building here. They've just stacked up those rocks and the bricks in a straight line straight up from the riverbank there. They'd have a good view. I'd have a big balcony out there to look out on the river. And you see these trees quite high. Young guys have climbed up there to trim off the small branches, the fresh growth, because those are a known goat food tree. They call them grass trees. They climb up there and trim them off every year and bring the leaves to the goats. The goats stay on the lead, or the goat houses. So yeah, straight over there there's going to be a big hole cut into the river bank, the cliff, and the water will go through there. I hope they leave a bit of water running down the river for the fish and the beauty of the river, but you never know. I heard Nepal has a surplus of power, but they seem to be still wanting more hydro projects. Maybe China isn't encouraging them and financing it so they can bring the power across the border to China. A very rugged road. It'll be a rugged ride even on a motorbike going up here. Love to hear the sound of that river. Looks like a whole lot of trees have been dropped in. But this is a rough track, using the rocks. Imagine this in the raining season, this would just be deep mud. Even now we've got some water running down here. Thank goodness for the trees that are holding up the river banks and decorating the place. But across there is your typical Nepali swing bridge. You can take a motorbike over those ones. So over the other side we've got a whole other little bazaar of houses. And here we are, back on the original road to Jalburi. And that down there is the project road. So I normally go down this ramp to the house I'm staying at, next to that yellow school. I'll take you for a walk up through the bazaar. There's your typical little stone built Nepali building. That's how they used to build their houses like that. But as you can see now, mostly cement buildings, reinforced cement and brick. Here's one in a semi-state of completion. Or they put up these cheap little tin shelters, or semi-tin. But here is a cheaply knocked up building. I don't know whether it would have been there before the earthquake, quite possibly, because the single floor buildings didn't shake to bits as much as the double floor. I can hear a Nepali song. So it looks like they're using the half finished top floor as a sort of a living indoor-outdoor area, and they often put these roller doors with the intention of having a shop at the bottom of the building, even this one. So you always get these steep alleyways in Nepal. So I'm just coming up a reasonably steep hill around the corner into the bazaar of Jalberi. There's a back access to the building there, and you can see a bit of a water tap and washing area there, which is quite typical. Do most of their washing and dishwashing outside. Often they shower outside, but they leave a pair of shorts on. Here's a big bus swinging around the corner, cloud of dust. So here's your little shops of chips and lollies and Pringles, and clothing shop. Namaste. And here's like a hardware shop. And is that electrical? Now here's a motorbike outfit. Now a lot of the boys working on your bike here are from India. They seem to be the technical sort of guys. I don't think they'll be able to fix that one though. The trucks are coming and going. So yeah, everything goes black with oil. Preserves the ground. Yeah, one man there waiting for some work. And here's a bigger hardware store. I've bought some things there before. Hello, namaste. So they got the roofing available here, and some flat zinc, rolls of mesh, and some gas and ropes, spades and shovels. Now here is a bigger flasher building with tiles on the facade, and here's the engineer. That brother is from the church, and let's see what they're making. This is your work, Nepali Kaam. How are you? So you are chopping? You're cutting by hammering. And this guy is, I won't look at that, arc welding. Looks like a steel bed. And many gates and grills for the windows. Grills. Window grill. Yeah. Oh, very good. I'll let you carry on. So there's a side road. I won't go up there. And hello. I remember that guy. He showed me the house of my friend 4 years ago. Here's another water fountain washing area. So here's the main street. So here we are, sort of the middle of this top end of the bazaar. And here's one of the buses coming through. You can see the sort of a shorter bus, which you need for negotiating the sharp bends up in the mountains. So to pick up some people here. Here's a fruit shop. Hello. Here's the local dogs. Friendly. That's always good. What a friendly dog, eh? And here you can have some food. Momo, spaghetti, rice. And here's my favorite fruit shop for oranges and bananas. Hi. Taking a video. So this is an awkward shop because the doors, which are not used, sort of down below the level, and they've got the stones stacked up there. Now this one shows the effects of the earthquake, because those doors are on a serious lean, if you can get that on the video. They've been pushed over a bit. Here's another eatery for momo, spaghetti, and dal bhat. And you can buy cans of drink here. Another fruit shop. Here's a cute little shop of produce. Yeah, got the wood pillars holding up that shop. Hi. Now this is my friend's bakery, and he will make you a birthday cake. Eh? David? David, where's David? But he can make you any birthday cake, and he's very clever. So, and this is how you can pay, just like that. Yep. His name's David, and across the road is a barber shop. The boy's cutting your hair. And then the bazaar kind of goes down to the river across the bridge, and then you've got more shops up the other side. And here's the hardware store. I bought zinc and steel here. We've got the square steel here we used for building the house for my friend back in lockdown. And here's another store here. So this descends down now, or you can go up there. So I'll pause this here now. So we've got this midway area. Here's some local boys trying their luck at climbing that cliff. And this is a sort of midway point down to the river, and then the other side is more bazaar. It's probably the original bazaar, because there's some heritage buildings down there, what I would call heritage buildings. And let this bolero get past, the Indian bolero truck. And down here is a little school, fairly recently built by my friend, a private school. And doesn't make much profit, but anyway, a beautiful setting, looking up the hills here. And I went all the way up there and down again over the last couple of days. Namaste. Namaskar. Namaste. So that road will go up to other villages. Very steep at the start. Interesting looking buildings. Now I could go down to the bridge, or I could go across the swing bridge here. So I think the swing bridge is more interesting. Now here's a tiny little house. It's funny because at night the lights are on, you can see people lying on their beds. Namaste! There's a little outhouse. Other buildings, very basic primitive building, but I love those doors, panel doors made by the local carpenters. So here is the bridge, and I'll just get down these stairs a bit. So the bridge has got good strong cables, obviously fixed into some big concrete embedment, and it comes across just for walking. Oh, you could, if you could get down there with a motorbike, or this way, you can probably go across the bridge. But next to the bridge is the sort of a Hindu shrine. Nam? You know the name? Nam? Namaste. Shivale. Yes. For Shiva.
Shiva
Shiva is there.
That is Lord Vishnu.
And Lord Vishnu having a sleep in the snake heads. Yeah. Okay. That's the breakdown of it. That fella, Shiva's having a sleep there. On looks like a hand made of snake heads. Interesting. Hello, we're coming over the bridge. How are you, sir? Ramru? Yep, a little bit of a bounce in this bridge. And so the other night, for a couple of nights, we've been up here. This is a resort built, and you can see some arches there. I'll blow that up. And someone's done a lot of work to create a bit of a wedding venue. So they've got big ponds and like a fish farm, and they've got the lights up at night, and it's very pretty as you look up the hills there. Yeah, and so much plastic in the river, that's a bit distressing. But anyway, move on, across the bridge. So as we come down here, this looks to be of more the Buddhist inclination, because you've got those spinning wheels, and you've got some incarnation of Buddha there. We've got the girls doing their homework. Hello! So this is a very old part of Jalbiri, as you can see those old buildings here. But yeah, this is the man himself, and squiggle squiggle writing. And a bunch of pictures are here, maybe explaining the life of Buddha. And then you've got these wheels. I just turned that and made a Buddhist prayer. But and then all the candles go here for special times, I suppose. Yeah. So doing your homework? Yeah. That's good. Here's a flash looking toy for Nepal. But here's some old buildings which have been compromised a lot. I think these stones are just stacked up. But here is quite a classic building. We'll get to plastered on top of stone, I guess. But the beautiful Newari, which is a class of people in Nepal, Newari, are doing the carvings. But it's a little bit cracked, but I love those brackets up there under the eaves. Yeah, and we have some more buildings here. So here is an old Hindu shrine, maybe? Hindu? Or Buddhist? Hindu, eh? So some lovely carvings on this little shrine. It's not a stupa, of course, but this column here looks quite ancient, and it might have been there a long time, and it's sitting on a carved turtle. And the chickens like the carved turtle. So that's a little shrine for some Hindu deity. And lovely windows on this old brick structure, and the posts holding it up. Another building there, and this one looks quite damaged, and maybe nobody lives inside. Hello. Anybody live inside?
No.
Dangerous?
Oh.
Too dangerous? Yeah. It's got some funny angles, eh? Definitely some funny angles on that building. But lovely to see the old buildings and the carving, the joinery. But you can see what's happening. They're having to rebuild with cement. But they may put some old windows and doors in, I don't know. Hey girls, your house, your shop? Shop? Family shop? Yeah. So, old paved street, but they're having to kind of rebuild. This one might have been fixed up. The old doors and frames are there. This one I can see some leaning angles on it. And it's a very old shop. Lovely old shops. Yeah, so this is no vehicles on the street because it's got steps at this end. But you see some of these buildings in Tamil, which is the downtown central area of Kathmandu, which the tourists love. There's a shrine. And I love the old carvings and brackets of the street. Yeah. So anyway, this one looks a bit abandoned as well. Maybe it's too dangerous. Here's another water fountain. And we come up to the top end of the bazaar. It's heading uphill, and it's the way to the other towns of Hapura, Hagam, Baranchi. So this is the bus parkers here, and another motorbike shop. And this is the butcher here. Here is the butcher. Hello, you're the butcher? Yeah. Today? Pork? Yes. Some pork, okay. Yep. And in here, cutting. It's got the smell of a butcher about it. Yeah, got some pork, okay. Very good. That brother was at church this morning. So I'll just walk up here a bit. And here is a very ancient old building. Don't know whether anyone's sleeping in there. It's been held up by the other shops. It looks abandoned, but lovely old carvings I can see on those top windows. The Newari. Here's another old one. Now you imagine the whole of Nepal, every building looking like this 20-30 years ago, or before the earthquake also, before they started building the concrete ones, which look quite inspired by India. Yeah. So you often see monkeys on the top of these buildings because they've got jungle behind. Yeah, a little produce and fruit shop there, and this is a nice cafe. Little cafe here. But there's no proper coffee in this town. This one, Vision Computer and Photo Studio. So it's quite a rock face up behind this part of the town. And a few more shops up there. So here's Kumari Bank, and it won't give me any money, any cash in the ATM. But this is the hotel for if you want to stay here. There's only a couple of hotels for the restaurant below. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the tour. Come and visit Nepal. Very friendly people. Alright. So I've just come back down this other way, and there's a bunch of people waiting for the bus. That's the bus park there, and you can even have some food in the little building. And here's UB Snooker and Foodland, Jalburi, Cinderpolchok, and they have a little area here for sitting down, or you can sit halfway up the tree. Or you can sit here with the chickens. So the river is here. The big old noisy truck, so many of these in Nepal, kings of the road. Here's my friend, the carpenter. We can't communicate, not much English, but he starts with these big pieces, eh? Yeah, and then slowly cutting for making furniture, windows and doors. Yeah? What's your name, bro? Your name? Mero naam? Steve. Naam kya ho?
Sundar Basel.
Sundar. Nice to meet you. Yeah, so this is your typical carpentry shop. They're mostly working on the floor, the old style, old way, but they do have an electric planer for smoothing and an old saw bench there. So it looks like these old lumbers, they make it flat first on one side by eye and an electric planer, and then they can run it through for some cuts on the saw, but that's really the hard way to do it. And we're back to the river on the other side. I started downstream here, and this is low flow because this river can really charge down here in the rainy season, but it doesn't get too muddy because it's come from very rocky country. So yeah, that's our tour of Jalburi, and I hope you enjoyed it. And here's a couple of hopeful dogs. Here is a chicken butcher. So we got some chicken legs there for Dubai, and get the flamethrower out on that chicken there. It's a noisy old bus. So they use the flame to singe off the hair. And these are a couple well-fed dogs and a puppy waiting for some chicken. So I'm just heading over the bridge, and yeah, this is your little extra on the video. Back up to where I live, and that was the bridge I come across in the resort further up. And this is the old area of the Hindu temple, and the old buildings are there. And you come around, admire the hills, and up the V of the valley there at around October, end of the raining season, you see a beautiful high Himalayan icy mountain, and I can't give you the name of it. Ask me in the comments and I'll find the name. So this river meets the other one just here, and often the junction of two rivers is kind of a sacred place for the Hindus, so that's why we have the temples and things happening. Alright, we'll carry on. See you later. Yeah, just one more thing. Because this is a junction of two rivers, you can see the two buildings that are very high with blue roofs. I'd say those are for the pyres of the burning of a dead person, and the ashes go into the river to join with the Ganges River of India. So obviously on the junction of the rivers where they see the water flowing and meeting, they're hoping the ashes will join the Ganges. Yeah. Here just above the river we normally get a tree that's been planted many years ago by ancestors, and we have another stupa, and I would say this is interesting carvings on this stone thing. I don't know what it is. It's obviously to do with the Hindu. Looking at that little thing there, And this is Hindu as well. Let's just have a look. So we've got our elephant god there, and we've got the spear here, I think possibly Ganesh, and another shrine inside there, the old bell. So inside there you've got the kind of that elephant god. Yeah, so this Nepal imported the religion of the Indians. I don't know what they had before that, probably animistic. But this is coming to the country. This is the goddess with many arms. Anyway, let's enjoy God's creation, the rice fields and the mountains and the beauty. And finally, a vista of the town. Well, that's the lower part of Jalbedi. This is the junction part and the river bridge. You can appreciate the mountains. There's villages all the way up these mountains, except the very, very steep part. And the river snakes around. And I'm heading this way. But they're planting the corn now after the rain of the last couple of days. They're getting that corn in, but I've seen lovely fluorescent green rice growing in these paddies. So there was the shrine area I just pointed out. So they've been a busy people carving out this land with all the terraces.